Yo, what is going on, homies? It's your boy Stumped back for another OPTC video, and in today's video, we're taking a look at Grand Voyage vs Buggy over at Orange Town, putting all of the quick free spirit legends onto a tier list for you guys to hopefully help you break down this particular event and know what characters are the best units to bring when taking down this particular event. Now, Grand Voyage Buggy was one of the first to come out with the initial release, and to beat it at level 5, you need to bring a mono quick, mono free spirit, and have a Luffy on the team. So, like I said, we're going to take all the legends in the game at their max capacity, level limit break 5, 6 pluses, all that fun stuff. Put them on a tier list from the best to the worst to take down this particular quest. So hopefully it helps you guys out. Just remember, if you're a newer player, this is very endgame stuff. It's very restrictive, and it takes a lot of investment. It was built for level limit break, so if you don't have all these characters maxed out with the 10 copies or at level 150, you might be struggling a little bit, but hopefully you can see what to prioritize as you develop your box. And with that said, belt the like button if it helps you out, belt the subscribe button if you're new. Let's dive into the tier list for Grand Voyage at Orange Town versus Buggy. Alright, so I put a bunch of tiers together. Top of the top is the best of the best. If you have these characters, you pretty much want to bring them. I have included all the legends with their 6 pluses and their level limit breaks, but I didn't include a couple of free-to-play and rare crew characters that are just so good that I just could not ignore them from the list. Elite is sort of just the next tier down. They're not the best to bring, but they're going to make it very, very easy, or they're going to be like some of the best characters to use. Great options, you can bring them, but they're not going to be as good as the above ones. Can use, I probably wouldn't bother with, like, unless you're like trying to have fun with the content after beating it, and then don't bother is obviously don't bother. Now, with Grand Voyage versus Buggy, there is a particular strat, and I'll leave a link in the description for you guys for my Grand Voyage playlist if you guys want to check out any teams, but there is a particular strat where you can use Resilient Sockets, get to the final stage, and if it doesn't proc when you get the death damage from Buggy, you can actually close the app, reopen it, and just continuously do this until your resistant sockets proc. Now, I am taking that strat into consideration when putting characters on this tier, and that's going to be a big one when we get to Brook, but just be mindful of that when we are building this tier list, okay? So, with that said, let's dive in. Let's take a look at Don't Bother straight off the bat. This Boa, honestly, don't bother. Like, she's not good for it. Frankie, honestly, don't bother either. Luffy and Law, even though it's a Luffy, like, they do damage on the final stage. If you guys don't know, on the final stage, any character that does AoE damage, even if it's only one, is basically a no-go. Because if you do damage and you kill the units on the final stage, it just basically cucks your run. So, just be mindful of that. This Luffy is another sort of don't bother character. Like, don't get me wrong, you guys can use these units if you really want to, but I don't really want to give them the be-all or end-all for that. The Ivankov PvP rare legend I would not bother with. Odin and Toki I probably wouldn't bother with either. I don't have Momo, so I can't comment too much. This Hiyori could be pretty good. As for anything else, look, Kinemon Dendro I have seen used, but they're probably not going to be used. You're definitely a no-go. Sobermask, man, I feel like Sobermask could be good. He gives you an attack boost on the final stage, and then he can get cooldowns. I feel like you can use Sobermask. Let's take a look at him for a second. So, let's scroll up a little bit, and let's take a look at what characters you can use. I feel like you can use Sobermask. I feel like you can definitely use Sabo level limit break 5. He does attack as an attack boost and a carryover effect. I have seen Kinemon Dendro be used. I don't know how effective they're going to be. They're probably like a don't bother, to be honest. Who else? You can use Super Tandem Shanks. I did, but look, it was quite finicky to build with. Just because he does damage on the final stage, making him really hard to use. But his Super Tandem at level 5 is very powerful and a one that you definitely can bring. This Zoro, look, I think he does damage on the final stage too, so you won't be able to get his attack boost and his conditional boost. And look, that definitely hinders characters so much when you are like team building for this event. I feel like Momo's in the same boat. I'm pretty sure he does damage as well. As for other characters, you can use Robin. I think I saw Subconti use Robin. And I think you can use Sop. Sop probably more of a great option to bring. I remember using them with my Shanks team, but that's because I needed someone for the someone else for the Super Tandem, I believe. They're probably just more of a can use. I think you can use Nami Karina. I haven't really tried Nami Karina in the content. being a one-turn buff is just kind of a little bit annoying. But when you get to the final stage, you have to deal with Buggy 3 times over, and each turn has very, very annoying shenanigans. Great option is this Luffy. This Luffy was the character they wanted you to use, the time skip level limit break 5. He's just still a great option. He gives you 3 turns of an attack boost, 3 turns of a conditional boost. I believe he sets the defense to 0 for 3 turns, so he's doing a lot for your team. Like, he's doing so much, and bringing him as a friend captain is still very viable, but it's not something that is super, super valuable. Another great option is this Sabo. He can remove Special Bind. As a captain, he has an auto trigger as well. The reason that's so valuable is because you get Special Binded on the first turn of Buggy, and then I believe you get Special Binded again, and it's a lot of Special Bind too, by the way. Like, it's a lot of Special Bind, and some characters are very good at getting around that. We'll talk about them once we actually get there. Luffy and Ace, they're a character you can use, but not one that I would definitely, like, prioritize. Just because, again, they do damage on the final stage. Their super swap's quite nice, but, like, other than that, like, that's pretty much all they're providing. Remember, any Luffy obviously does have a little bit more value here, but, like, yeah, unfortunately, it is what it is. This Hiyori is a great option. She can have a carryover effect. If you have an attack and orb boost, she then carries over a further attack and orb boost. She can remove attack down as well, which you do get inflicted with on the second turn of Buggy. So you can actually use her on turn 2, which is really, really nice. Yep. Honestly, that's pretty much all of your great options, really. Everyone else is just very, very good. Honestly, I'll put this Luffy in great options. This is a free-to-play PK Luffy. I've recently been using this Luffy a lot in this content. He is so fantastic. He can remove 6 turns of Special Bind. He can remove 6 turns of Despair. He gives you a full bottle of recovery orbs. He's an orb booster. He's a base stat booster. He's very, very good. And he's a free-to-play option, so he's one of the ones I really wanted to include here. Moving up to Elite now, the other non-legend I have on this tier list is Robin. The rare recruit Robin is so good for the second stage of Buggy. Like, when you get to the final stage and you kill Buggy the first time, he revives. This Robin takes care of so much. She has special cooldown, she has bind removal, and I believe she has, I think she has special bind removal as well, which is very, very good. If you partner her up with this Boa on the final, on that second turn, you can do some really fun stuff. Boa's also a chain boundary and a base stat extender, I believe, or she gives base stats for 2 turns. She's very, very good for that particular stage, and the original team sort of rocked with this Brook because Buggy hits you with like a Buggy death hit, and Brook is a character that has that sort of resilience mechanic. And as I mentioned at the start of this video, we did come to... No, what's the word I'm looking for? We did come to the revelation of the resilience socket strat, and honestly, that basically removed Brook from the best to elite. Now, if you guys want to do it a little bit nicer and a little bit more fluently, using Brook as a captain, he makes it a lot easier in that regard. He is a super type, he gives a chain boost, he has that resilience mechanic, he gives base stats, he gives you the cooldowns that you need on that particular stage as well. He has slot bind removal, which is great because you need a slot bind removal character as your captain. He's fantastic. Like, he's a very, very good unit for it. However, with the resilience socket procking, we found that there were some other characters that just sort of worked a little bit better in terms of getting more damage. Brook was really tight for damage, but once we got 6+ Red Rock Luffy, the damage drastically increased. We have like a 5.5 times captain with a recovery orb, and then you're just continuously getting recovery orbs. The downside to this content too is you start at very low HP, and they keep you at very low HP. This Luffy, though, he could keep you at very high HP because you could just keep healing over and over and over again. Now, you can't use Red Rock on the final stage because he's an AoE special, but he is one of the strongest Luffy characters to bring as your own captain if you are trying to get this done. However, we recently had another Luffy come out, which is the Bath Time Luffy, or the Onsen Luffy as I like to call him. This particular Onsen Luffy can remove Special Bind out the goddamn wazoo. His Super Type removes it, his Special removes it, this Boa removes it. Like, this Luffy's really, really good for this content. He's a color affinity booster or he's an attack booster, depending if you have color affinity or not. So he can do some really fun stuff. He auto proxies Special on turn 2 though, which is a bit of a shame because if you could carry that in that auto proc, it would work really, really nicely. But as for the last units, these 3 units are basically the best of the best to do it. Law as a captain or as a friend captain is phenomenal. This particular Law, honestly, is probably one of the best leaders you can bring for this content. Mainly because you give him a tandem orb, he sets defense to 0, he gives you a conditional boost for defense down. He's an attack booster, he's an orb booster. You can bring this guy as a friend captain, and then bring your own lore as a sub, and it just works fantastically. However, the best sub to bring is this particular unit right here. Ace Sabo is like one of the best units to bring. These two together, like, just basically clear the content. It's basically free at that point. You don't even really need to bring Brook to get all of the shenaniganry, because you have that resilient socket strat. So you can just use a bunch of healing and sort of then just tank the shots. The death hit is going to hit you really, really hard, and you're probably going to need resilient sockets for that. But Ace Sabo on turn 1 of the quest will basically remove Bind, Despair, Special Binds. Their Super Swap gives you a color affinity boost, and then their special gives you 3 turns of an orb boost. Remember, you need 3 turns on that final stage, so it works exceptionally well. Lore's your attack booster, he can heal, he's a super tandem, he's a conditional booster, and he gives you the cooldown that you need, which is really, really nice. Finally, we have Zoro and Sanji. Honestly, Zoro and Sanji are probably elite. I'm going to put this Luffy up here because, like, this Luffy is so good for the final stage. They're probably just elite, actually. I used them, and they made it so damn easy. And honestly, they unlocked my team for no Sabo and Ace, purely because of how good their Super Tandem is. And if you're running 2 Luffys, you can just proc their Super Tandem, which works great. You don't have to worry about anything. They're a super class as a sub, so that way you're getting like a double super class. Remember, you make everyone free spirit slashes. So as long as you bring a super type leader, you're going to get the double super class and a super type with them as well. So like they're so good. Like they're just a phenomenal character build. Being a free spirit, you can actually get it done. So this is probably the tier list. Honestly, I feel like this is probably like that. That's probably a little bit better. This is probably the order in which you want to see them. If you guys have Lore, Sabo, Ace, you're already in for a really good time. Bring a friend captain, Lore, run like any Luffy on the team. Like I said, if you have this Luffy, he works exceptionally well. Red Rock Luffy's probably your strongest damage dealer, so you can just bring him as a captain if you have him. But if you have this Onsen Luffy, he's going to be a very good option as well, with all of his special bind gimmicks as well. But that's going to wrap up the video. That's Grand Voyage against Buggy over at Orange Town. Hopefully it helps you guys out. If it does, make sure to belt the like button, hit the subscribe button, do all that good stuff for me. Most importantly, wherever you guys are in this beautiful world, please remember to enjoy the rest of your day. And remember, down in the comment section below will be the tier list for all of my teams that have basically cleared this, and a link to the description will be in the description down below too. So, most importantly, wherever you guys are in this beautiful world, please remember to enjoy the rest of your day. As always, homies, thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one.